maybe 2 weeks, I started to notice much more energy, much more clear thoughts. I was sleeping so deeply that I didn't get up anymore in the middle of the night several times and started dreaming, which is so random, but like I hadn't had like a serious dream, probably because I don't know if I didn't get into REM sleep or whatever that is that would bring to dreams, but I noticed it significantly.
This is Before and After Stories. I'm Eva Shea, and on this podcast, we talk to people just like you and me to find the real beauty of plastic surgery and elective treatments. So our guest today is Alison, and she's here to talk to us about hormone replacement.
Yeah, thank you and welcome, Alison.
Thank you. Good morning.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, or as much as you're comfortable sharing?
So I am the typical middle-aged 45-year-old woman. I'm a working mom with 2 children and burning it at both ends, just running around trying to work and trying to raise a family. I'm married. I've been married for almost 20 years. And yeah, that's about it. And I was introduced to this by a friend of mine who I've been seeing for years. I don't sleep. Well, I didn't sleep. This is the key. I didn't sleep until this, but I sleep pretty minimal amount. And recently, because of changes, and I guess it would be from the hormones, I had not been sleeping, or at least not sleeping without interruption, I should say.
How long had that been going on?
Years. I mean, I would say probably since maybe I hit 40, I noticed a difference. So probably about 5 years just in my sleep habits. Obviously a lot of it's stress too, but that started.
I think that sounds very consistent with what we hear from people who are turning 40. Eva, you can probably relate.
Are you calling me old?
No, I'm calling you 40. That is not old.
I'm actually the same age as Alison.
Well, Alison, you mentioned a friend that you'd been seeing for years. Will you tell us a little bit about how you found out about BioTE?
So I've been seeing a friend who's actually an RN, and so I definitely trust her opinion and everything that she's led me to. I've known her for probably 10 years, to be honest, and I'm actually in the medical field as well. And so she introduced me to this, and she knows after my second child, my thyroid completely died. It put me into hypothyroidism after the birth of my last child. And it took years for them to figure out what the problem was. And then I was on Synthroid for years, very high doses of Synthroid, and nothing seemed right. And so this RN friend that I've been seeing for years recommended it and said it will be life-changing. And I trusted her. And to be honest, I mean, I was nervous for sure. It's something different to try, but the amount of night sweats I was experiencing and the sleep disturbance and even like foggy, almost to the point where I was wondering, like, is this some sort of dementia happening where I couldn't remember things? Definitely cleared up like night and day after I started this.
So way more than the usual mom brain. Like this was.
Yeah. Whether it's lack of sleep or just too many things on my brain, just a difference I had noticed.
A lot of us would do just about anything to just even get a little bit of improvement when it gets that bad. It's sort of like, it reminds me of having a newborn a little bit.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, how soon after you started treatment were you starting to recognize these wonderful changes?
I would say roughly about 2 weeks, I would say. Maybe 2 weeks, I started to notice much more energy, much more clear thoughts. I was sleeping so deeply that I didn't get up anymore in the middle of the night several times and started dreaming, which is so random, but like I hadn't had like a serious dream, probably because I don't know if I didn't get into REM sleep or whatever that is that would bring to dreams, but I noticed it significantly.
That is so awesome. I happened to meet you when you came back to the clinic for about 5 weeks after you started treatment. And I remember your provider saying, you look like an entirely different person at 5 weeks. So how did you take that? Do you think it was all of those things? Great sleep, great energy?
Yeah. And, it gave me the energy. I've always been a runner. And with kids and life, I kind of let that fall away, which was really good for my mental health too. And it just gave me the energy. So I've been running 3 times a week, like 5 miles a day, and just feel so much better. I can't even describe it. My husband noticed it too, that I just have more energy and feel better. And I don't typically weigh myself, but I can tell that my clothes are fitting better. My body just feels better. I just can't, I can't say how much better I feel.
Oh my gosh.
What I have noticed, however, is, and Queenie, you probably know, I don't know how long I'm at right now. I know I have an appointment coming up, but I can tell it's time to get more.
Oh, I was just going to ask that. Thank you. So let's say you're about 3 months or so out. And that was my next question really is, how are you feeling? Because I think that is a great indication that you're ready. So
yeah, I can tell. I can tell.
Yeah.
And that was what my provider had told me, that you'll tell when it's time. And I really want to stay on top of this so that I keep the benefit. So it must be about time for me to come back in.
I think it's important as you get started with BioTE that you're paying attention to those messages and getting right back in so that it is such a nice, even and steady release of natural or bioidentical hormones that you don't want to have those dips. So perfect. You're ready.
Yep, I am ready.
Alison, will you take me back just to the beginning for a moment? And was there a moment that pushed you over the edge where you said, I've had enough and I'm going to go figure this out?
Yeah, I think a lot of it for me was the night sweats and not sleeping. And then my thyroid, like I was gaining weight. I just felt no energy. And then I think that brain fog. And then when my provider said, let me help you with it. And then even libido, to be honest, I think it's just a perfect storm of everything, of exhaustion, working mom, midlife. And so when she said, I promise and I trust her that you will feel like a different person. And then when I came in and saw Queenie, she said it. And my provider said too, you just seem like a whole different person. And I think I was like the salesperson for this the minute I came in that first time after 5 weeks. And so, yeah, I can't speak highly enough about it. And, I don't believe I know I'm not in full menopause. So this must be like perimenopause or whatever you call it. So I'm curious to see how this will take me through, whenever I get fully through menopause.
Queenie, do you know if it delays menopause for people? Is that something that is included? I'm not a doctor, obviously, but have you heard anything?
I am not a doctor either, and I don't know how to answer that question. I think it's excellent.
Maybe we should interview a doctor with all our unanswered questions.
I think so too. I don't know that it will delay. I think it will make menopause no big deal.
That's what I've read. So that's what I've read about it, is it just eases the side effects of menopause, because your body's going to go through it and it just eases those hormone dips, I think.
I think so too. Well, I think you are walking advertisement just with your energy.
That was my next question. You're out and about, you're seeing lots of people. You're not locked down, even if your kids are, and they're causing all kinds of havoc with your schedule, like everybody's. When you're out and about, are you finding yourself seeing other people kind of, mention similar complaints and then compelled to tell them about this?
Absolutely. I have, several girlfriends that are my age, and I've told several people about it. And, of course, they want the information of where to go to get it. Because I think it's common for women our age, it's a complaint, right? I mean, and it is what it is, and you don't know what to do about it. So if there's something that can improve it, that's safe, I can't see why not to do it.
Do either of you guys remember your moms going through it?
I do. And then there were, concerns about taking hormone replacement with breast cancer and ovarian cancer and things like that, and, synthetic hormones. But this being bioidentical, I really researched it a lot. And, something that's more natural, I think is better. No, I remember my mom, just the hot flashes is what I remember.
Yeah. And all I can tell you is the same about my mom. And actually, she refused HRT, the old school traditional HRT, and she was very fearful of it. So she sweated it out, boy. So, Alison, have any of the benefits or things that you've noticed since you started, have any of them surprised you?
I think the clarity of my thinking, like I didn't really believe that would happen. And I just at work and just more, I guess, a better ability to focus is what I would say.
I haven't had that benefit. Maybe I surpassed my window of opportunity.
You're, Alison, the third person that we've talked to about this. And now every time I have an ache or a pain or a creak, I'm like, ooh, I wonder if I need BioTE. My knees hurt this morning.
Well, I would definitely recommend it. And it's something too that, like, we all are so busy. At least it's not something you have to go in monthly. That's the other thing. Like, I can do something 4 times a year, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
I think that's a huge benefit too. Like, if it was monthly, there's probably no way I could get it done. But 4 times a year I can handle.
My hair is expensive, but I've adjusted to it. I live with it. It's not something that I am going to take out of the budget. It just has to get done. And I wonder how we justify the cost of something like this the way that we do all these other things and just add a whole nother layer. And one thing I certainly thought of was exercising. You said you were a runner, that exercising gets easier. And I think if you can frame it as delaying costs of injuries or delaying costs of other kinds of things that happen down the road, it gets really easy to say, this is important and I'm going to spend money on it.
I agree. And I mean, I think the difference you feel, it's just something the stuff that I spend money on for the kids and everything, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do this for myself. And, if it makes me a better mom and a better wife, I think that you can look at it as a cost benefit analysis and what's coming up on the positive side, and you just make it work if you can.
Mhm.
Alison, that makes me want to ask you this as well. Does your husband, have they made comments or have they noticed changes in you?
Yeah, they think I think it's just everything. I always say you feel good, you look good, you feel good, that kind of thing. I mean, if you're not on your top game, I think you can see it on all aspects of your life. My husband does know, and he was all for it just to make me feel better. The kids too, but they don't know I did it. But yeah, I think just energy wise and that kind of thing.
Yeah, there are no words, and I'd rob a bank to keep this going if I had no other means.
Get another job or something. Yeah.
Right.
I'm heading out of town and I was not going to make my treatment time. Well, Queenie, you've been helping me with that. And I was like, okay, I cannot go past the 3 months. I can't. So, I feel the same way. I wanted to make sure I don't dip too far without it.
Yeah. Well, we'll make sure you get in.
One more question for you, Alison. Is there anything that you are going to do now, like run a marathon, that you were not even thinking about before you started doing this?
Well, I've gone on like a huge cleanse lately because I started the running, and I actually have gone vegan for a couple months just to see if that made me feel better. And some GI issues that I was having, that really trying to do like an elimination diet. And so I figured out what bothers me, and I don't know if I would have been motivated to do it, and I feel so much better. So it's just a combination of things that just motivated me to do it.
There's a lot of people talking about stacking good habits. Have you heard this?
Yeah.
It's coming from the Atomic Habits book that I haven't read yet, but now I definitely need to. But that's what I'm hearing is, it gives you the willpower or the physical feeling that you need to actually keep improving more stuff. And when you feel terrible all the time, it's sort of like, well, I'm just going to eat more ice cream because that's easy.
Well, and I have that brain where it's like, okay, I ate one chip, why not eat the whole bag, and like all or none. And so I think, yeah, it's the same concept. And I think that when people say, hey, you're looking good or you feel good or whatever, it's constant and you keep doing it.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for telling us your story, and especially for doing it in the car on your way to work. Like, I kind of love it. And we're going to send you a trophy for best podcast ever from the car.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. And then Queenie, I will see you in a couple weeks, and nice to talk to you both.
It was
You
nice
too.
to talk to you. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Okay. Bye-bye.
If you'd like to tell your story on this show, or if you're a medical professional who would like to submit someone else's story for consideration, send us a message at beforeandafterstories.com or follow and message us on Instagram at Before and After Stories Podcast. I'm Eva Shea, the host and producer of Before and After Stories, and my co-host is Queenie Dolan. Our engineer is Daniel Cruiser. Before and After Stories is a production of The Axis, TheAxis.io. That's Axis like Axis of Eva.